Hi, welcome to the coziest corner of my room. So now that the holidays are approaching, I don't really care if you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah. If you want to give a gift to somebody that you love, I'm here to help you, especially if your gifts are usually books. I decided to compile a very detailed list of people that are special in your life and the perfect book recommendations for you to give them to get them back into reading or to expand their catalog of genres that they're reading. Unfortunately, put the first books on the bottom. That was not smart of me. Okay, firstly, this has been a tough year. Books perfect for somebody who really needed a hug this year, especially maybe on Christmas or the holidays. I can recommend two books. It's a duology. You have to read them in order to figure out what they're on about. But the first one, if you want to, is like a solitary book. It's autoconclusive. This book won a Pulitzer Prize. It's Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It talks about a failed gay writer that goes on a world trip in order to avoid his failures in the love life department and also the writing department. And it's like the biggest queer hug that you could ever get from somebody. And then you read the second one, Less is Lost, which is a road trip across America, kind of like the similar vibe. And it's like a double hug, double queer hug. It's the perfect book to give to somebody who kind of feels like this year was a failure, and this is the most uplifting, sweet, and sometimes sour book that you could ever give to somebody. I feel like we all have a gamer friends in our life who is more attached to video games than books. It's alright, we can cure you, that's no biggie. I feel like Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which talks about video game development and friendship in the 90s and 80s, is the perfect book. I feel like this book is the perfect blend of video game aspect because they talk in depth about what it's like to create a video game from scratch, especially with the limits that the 80s and 90s had in terms of hardware and console development. And friendship is just sweet, wonderful friendship between people who are heavy into trauma. And I feel like your gamer friend would really appreciate a book like this. For your chronically in love friend, I have one, and unfortunately they don't read in English, but I mean, can you go wrong with Hiiii? Especially with book lovers, which I feel like if you're not really that much of a book lover, this book would make you one. I feel like it's a wonderful representation of people in love with their gripes. Being in love is not perfect. It's about two people coming together and accepting that there is a very deep bond between them, but there's also they're not perfect people. That would be boring. So this book delves into that. It's also like a small town romance. Emily Harry just never misses with these recent books, and I feel like her next book is going to be wonderful, and I need it. I feel like I encountered this type of people first on TikTok, and I was like, oh my god. And then I recognized that type of people is me. I am people. And that is the type of people who would love to have the entire Secret History text tattooed on their forehead. That is me. I am people. I have 4 copies of the Secret History in various languages up here. So I don't want to bore you by recommending you If We Were Villains or the standard dark academia type of books, but I feel like if your friend was smart enough to recognize that The Secret History is a satire, I feel like they would love Oligarchy by Scarlett Thomas, which is tough to get into because it's kind of like a flow of consciousness, but it's a super fun and dark, so dark satire about private colleges in London, and one of the protagonists is the son of an oligarch, and there is a rampant ED explosion. I was like, that sounds depressing. Oh, it was also funny and like super satiric, and I loved that. I loved it. It's an acquired taste, but it was just wonderful. Okay, I am also this person, it is me, that loves no vibes. No vibes, what? No plot, just vibes. But this book is just like only vibes. It raises a lot of questions and not all of the questions get answers. So be prepared for that. But if your friends love vibey book, and it's kind of like, again, a dark academia, but it's very like heavy on the academia, not so dark, but also kind of dark. I don't know. They would love Catherine Alice. A lot of people hated this book. I personally found it wonderful, wonderfully written. The atmosphere was so spooky and creepy and like heavy, but also it gives you the same feeling some of the Dead Poets Society movie gives you. So I would recommend it. Can't forget about parents that always tell you, when I was little, I used to read 100 books a week. And now I have no time because of job and also capitalism. Give them the Anthropocene, I have no idea how to say it in English. Antropocene. In Italian, it's so easy. In review, Benvenuti nell'Anthropocene by John Green. It's tiny, bite-sized, formatted stories about things in our Anthropocene world. In the human world right now, and it stemmed from their podcast, and I feel like it works also in book form. I think it's perfect for parents who don't have a lot of time, because they're very quick to stories and they're very engaging, and it's kind of like reading the newspaper. But this is history, my darlings, for your friend that has to heal their inner child. I discovered that Fairy Oak, series that shaped an entire generation in Italy, has been translated into English, so you can buy it. It's about fairies, it's about friendship, it's about his sisterhood, and it's about fairies and these two twins who have opposite type of magic. One is a light witch, one is a dark witch. Get to have a little tiny nanny fairy, and it's just heartwarming and wonderful and beautiful, and it teaches you that friendship and sisterhood conquers all. I loved it. And here the parents are also wonderful. So if you have kind of like daddy and mommy issues, this series will make you weep, just like I did. Now I get to troll people. Wonderful. If you ever encountered a chat, like a true chat, toxic masculinity, I only read like tech and financial stuff, I only read about the economy, and maybe I play video games, and no girly stuff, please. I have the perfect solution for that. Give them The Witcher. Because I feel like you see Geralt of Rivia, you see him and he sounds kind of like a Chad in the description of the book, but he is not. These books are filled with so much love for their like female characters, and they get to be powerful and all-knowing, and they travel, they battle, and Geralt of Rivia is especially, I feel like, sweet with Ciri and all the female characters, even though he sleeps with a lot of women, especially in the video games, but here also. And there's a lot of talk about abortion and human rights, and I feel like you don't expect it from a Polish 90s high fantasy book about a witcher. So I feel like this is the perfect like decoy book to give to these people. Okay, so I get to talk about one of my favorite series, and I feel like it is perfect for the person who was kind of like an emo growing up, a goth, somebody who really likes alternative fashion and styles and music. They would love getting an nth. Look at my annotations. It's a quartet for now. If you like tall women in space with swords, and they all want to bang Gideon because she has biceps for days. And you love not knowing a fucking thing. You love this book. These books are so special to me. They really bring light in dark times for me. Gideon especially is hilarious because she has one brain cell and it's all for the sword. And the second book is about Harrow, who has all the brain cells, but she's like a tiny little fair goblin. Like, they're all raging lesbians, and I loved it. If you have a friend who is obsessed with crystals and tarots and star signs, the perfect book series exists, and it's the Raven Boys, followed by the Dreamer trilogy. It's another very vibey series. This one has a little bit of action in it, and the first series follows Blue Sergeant, who lives with her family, which is full of seers and diviners, and she has the power to amplify their powers. And she meets 4 boys who really want to find this Welsh king that can grant them a wish. It's dead, the Welsh king, dead for centuries, and nobody can find its corpse. But there has been a prophecy told to Blue that if she kisses her first love, like a first true love, this love will die. From there is just vibes and ley lines and powers and a lot of divining and searing and scrying. I feel like it's called scrying, and tarot reading and crystals. And then you go on to the second series, it's the Dreamer trilogy, and it's all about dreams. People who can take things from dreams and bring them back to reality. I fell in love with this series. It is, I don't know, like part of my childhood at this point. I remember setting up multiple accounts on Audible to have the audiobooks because they have not been translated into Italian. Kind of tying in with the dude bros, now I have the film bros. Oh, the film bros. What's your favorite filmmaker? Oh, it's definitely Tarantino or Christopher Nolan. If they tell you Christopher Nolan, this is Laid House by David Mitchell. He also wrote, he wrote Cloud Atlas. So they should know about Cloud Atlas. If they are true film bros, test them. Test the film bros. This is a book about a house that inside has a house and a house and a house and a house. You don't really know which one of the houses is real, and you follow people who get into the house and just get lost. It's like alternative universe inside one house, and it gives answers. This one is confusing, but it gives answers. It's also like a wonderful, beautiful edition. Slate House. It's short, compact, perfect for Nolan fans. The last recommendation, this is for the people you love. If you really love somebody, you want to give them a book that is a little bit challenging, but also fun and imaginative, beautifully written. You want to give them the whole package. And the whole package is, of course, my favorite book of all time, The Grey House by Marion Petrosian. This is, I don't remember if it's 3 or 5 books in one, but you'll find them bind up in this, and it's meant to be read as a whole. On the surface, this book is about a summer house in which parents of disabled kids get them to attend. It's kind of like a house school or a summer camp with a school inside. But the moment they step in, everything changes. The house, it's not the same on the inside. And you don't know up until the end if it's the imagination of the kids inside or if it's truly magical. Like, they have wars and gang battles, and there's like a field and mountains. It's weird, and I loved it. This also, I feel like, has wonderful disability representation because every character is disabled. Every character has a different disability, which means a set of limits, and they do things differently to overcome their fears and gripes, etc. I feel like it's just so good. So if you want to say I love you to someone, give them this book. Huzzah! I have finished. There were so many books, but I feel like if you want to do an ultimate recommendations for Christmas or holiday books, a lot of books have to be discussed. I hope you have fun. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope the people in your life that you give these books to will be happy. So, now that you're at the end, you could leave me a little comment and tell me what you're planning on giving your loved ones for the holidays, or just what you have in plan, or what you would want to see under your tree or stocking or whatever. And yeah, maybe give this video a like if you want to. Also, my socials are just down below. If you want to follow me, I'm most active on TikTok. It's a fun time there. And I'll see you in the next video, which will be very soon because I plan on doing like a little series for Christmas. So I'll see you. Goodbye. 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 Mwah.